Welcome to our Character GPS Summer Camp and graduation. Little fanfare. It's been an awesome week. A lot to be thankful for, right? All right, now we're going to be sharing with you some neat stuff that your kids have been learning about who they are, about their future, about life and leadership skills that they need to be successful in life. But before we get into all that, we want to be thankful that this facility, the Livingstone Academy, has been a wonderful place. It has just been, God-filled. It has been positive. And we want to thank Chris. So Chris, if you'd like to come up here, how about a hand? Allow us to have our camp here and tell us just maybe real quick about the academy. And
yes, thank you so much. It's our privilege to host you guys this week, and I hope the facility worked out fine for you. And we are a private school system. My wife and I started these schools in 2003 because a lot of kids just like you maybe struggled in the public schools. And a lot of the private schools back then were kind of for the high achieving, high academic kids, the real, you can put 20 kids in a class with one teacher and you just kind of comply and you obey and you get in line. And we knew that we wanted to start a school for students that needed that additional support. And when we talk about support, we're talking about not only the academic support that you get in the classroom, but we're talking about the support of a family unit. And so the foundation of our school is love and acceptance. And we have created a family environment here at Livingstone Academy. And the real neat thing is that all the kids that come to our school are here because there's scholarships available to be able to attend a school like ours. And so we started 15 years ago with 4 of us on staff and 26 kids. We now have over 300 students, 4 locations, 70 employees, and we just had our first high school graduating class this year. And so we're really excited about what God's doing. And so I just want to let any parents know, or anyone from Camelot, that our doors are open to you for whatever you need, for trainings. If families are looking for a private school, there's scholarships available, and I'll be more than happy to talk with you and get you the scholarship information that might be available to you. But we've just created a really loving, caring school where kids enjoy coming to school. What really speaks volumes about our school is that we have a 100% re-enrollment rate every year.
Wow.
That means our families are so happy that year after year they re-enroll all the time. And so we started because we saw a need in the community, and God has honored that and has blessed that. And so I just want to say we're here for you if you ever need us. And best of luck as you finish this class. Take what you've learned, apply it to your lives, and just know that every one of you are fearfully and wonderfully made in the eyes of God. God doesn't make mistakes. He makes beautiful, wonderful, gifted, incredibly talented children. And your futures are bright. You're so bright you should all be wearing sunglasses. So know that you know that God has a plan and a purpose for your life, and you will be successful. You will do great things. All you have to do is keep trying, keep working, okay? And we see it every day in this school. We see kids come that are struggling academically, and they're graduating with a high school diploma. Parents are in tears. Never thought that day would happen. And so just know, okay, that God loves you and He has a plan for you, and your futures are bright. All right. Thank you.
thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay. So we are ready now to get into our graduation celebration mode here, because we have a lot to celebrate. So what we want to do kind of is do a quick overview kind of what your kids have been learning this week. And first of all, I want to thank my beautiful wife, Debbie, my partner, working with you guys. It's been a pleasure working with Camelot, Community Care, great partners, and these amazing students here. So we're going to find out just how amazing they are here today. So first, just kind of a little bit about what is the Character GPS process? What is it all about? So here's a quick overview. There it is.
Our young adults are surrounded by negative influences from the media and problems like bullying, disrespect, and lying. Character GPS can help our communities get back on track. Students are engaged in 8 weeks of interactive multimedia workshops that focus on real-life application of 16 character values. Lessons include practical exercises, action plans, and assessments to help integrate these values into thoughts and actions. Let's all work together to steer our children and communities toward a better way.
Okay, so the whole idea is we're working with the heart of people, right? Not just the head. We want them to acknowledge, but it's got to go to their hearts, which steers then their actions and the choices they make in their lives. So one of the themes that we talk about in our program is about having good luck, right? Some of us think we have good luck, some have bad luck, right? Is it a roll of the dice? And our students realize that it's not just by chance, it's by choice. And you get to choose 2 different kind of approaches to life. We have the weather vane approach, and we have the compass approach, right? Now, guys, which would you rather be, a weather vane or a compass?
Compass.
Compass. All right, now we're going to discover why they know that that's the right answer, okay? Because a weather vane, right, turns with the changing directions of what? The wind, right? So like your emotions can be up and down and all over the place, right? But a compass always points in what direction? North. We learned it always points, so you'll never be lost. You know, you get your bearings, so that's what truth and principles provide, right? You know the right thing to do, while others might be lost because they're just doing what they feel like doing. So always ask the parents, when you wake up in the morning every day, do you feel like going to work every morning? No, but what do? You go to work because it's the right thing to do, and of course there's consequences if you don't, right? Well, if our kids take on the weather vane approach, I don't feel like doing something, as the decision of not doing it, there are consequences to that, right? And so sometimes as parents we get frustrated because they're not making good choices because they're following a weather vane versus a compass. But once they buy into, I don't want to be lost, I want to make good decisions, I want to be a compass, you'll see them making more mature decisions, right? That will lead them to success in their life. Because otherwise, if they're just doing what they feel like doing, the weather vane, they'll do what everyone else is doing. You ever heard that? Well, everyone else is doing it, and so that somehow makes it right. But our kids learn that that is not, right, the secret to success. Everyone else may be making a bad decision, but you make a good decision, then others might be following you, and you become a leader. And that's usually what happens to our GPS kids, because they know the principles, and they value them, and they make their decisions based on those. So they make good choices. Otherwise, the weather vane approach is what we call sad living. Because you're focused on yourself, it's kind of selfish, what I feel like doing, I want when I want it, right? And so other people want that too. So we have adversity, struggles, who gets what they want, arguments, right? Fights, disappointments leads to that approach. And even though we're the richest country in the world, we often are the most disappointed people in the world. And I've been to Haiti and the Philippines and seen people that have almost nothing. And they're a lot happier than a lot of us Americans. And they have almost nothing, right? So we don't want to wander aimlessly. We want to be in a GPS. We want to know where we're headed. We want to make good decisions and create good luck. When we do the right thing, then we're ready when an opportunity is to take advantage of it, right? So we make things happen. So with our kids, we've talked about this, that here's today, right? You can't change your past, but you can change what? Your future, based on what your choices are. And we believe that there is an amazing future, just like Chris was sharing you. All of you have an amazing future ahead of you, potentially, if you make the right choices. So if you want to get to that future, what is the shortest distance, guys?
Straight line.
A straight line. Now we always say, can you do that together? Let's aim, straight line. Aim at your future and you might hit it, right? But we get distracted, right? And these are adults. Do we get sometimes distracted, right? There's things in our lives that distract us. So we've been helping the kids to learn how to create this straight path. So if you want to get from today to your future, you can create stepping stones. Just like if you're trying to get across a river and it's kind of treacherous, but if there's stepping stones, you can get across to the other side, right? So we've been learning the 7 toolkits of the GPS process that creates this straight line so you can get to that wonderful future. So the first step, we're going to kind of be reviewing this is what the kids have been learning, was PR. And what does PR stand for, guys?
Responsibility.
I love that. Proactive responsibility, right? You know, you make good choices because you're responsible. And we're going to talk about being proactive because pro means before you act. Doesn't it kind of make sense? Think before you act? Although that makes sense to some kids, that may not be their practice, right? But once you are in a mode of making good decisions, right? Now you're ready for the second stepping stone, which is CD. What does that stand for? Can do. Having a can-do attitude, right? A lot of times we give up too easily on things. And we don't get across to the wonderful future because we let obstacles get in the way, right? I was raised in a family of 7 kids, I told all you, right? And in our family, my last name was Kane, so it sounds corny, right? But we had a can-do attitude, all right? So you weren't allowed to say can't do in my family, right? We had to learn how to have this can-do approach, to persevere, to solve problems, to have a learning by doing approach. You're not going to get all figured out, but you can take it a step at a time. That's what life is all about, right? So once you now have this approach, you're ready for the next stepping stone, which is TD.
Talents discovered.
You discover your talents. What do you have to work with? Sometimes we have kids say, I don't have any talents at all. That's not the truth, right? Everyone has talents. So they were learning, using a Myers-Briggs and other tools, that we actually have amazing talents, right? And we're going to be sharing those with you here today. So if we're all talented and we're all unique, right? We can't be replaced. And by definition, how much are you worth?
Priceless.
Priceless. Whew. Now, we don't always feel priceless, right? But when we know we're priceless, right, that means you take care of something that's priceless, right? So we were instilling in our kids here that you respect yourself, respect your body, right? So you don't put drugs, you don't do things that are destructive, you don't sell yourself short, right? You ask other people to treat you with respect. And of course, if you're priceless, how much is everyone else worth? They're priceless too. Even the bully, you may not like, they're priceless, right? But we know that the bully is the one that has the problem. So our kids learn to actually have compassion for the bully and be able to stand to them and handle situations in a mature way. And it's actually not that hard once you understand that you are valuable, right? The bully's just trying to put you down because they feel bad about themselves, right? So once we have talents, now we know who we are, we're ready for the next step, which is V stands for?
Vision.
Vision. You got to know what your future could be. You got to have dreams. You got to have goals, right? Because without that, you're going to wander. You're going to just be kind of stuck living for the moment, and that's when we get caught in the next step, which is 3T. You got to manage your time, temptation, and treasure. So a lot of people get caught in temptations because they don't have that greater yes, the goal, what they're working towards. So they say, sure, that sounds like fun, right? But they don't realize that that may be compromising their future, right? Making mistakes. We talked about people making mistakes, right? Driving drunk, that can change your life. You see in the news, people making mistakes that changes the direction of their lives. So we have to manage our time, temptation, and treasure. Now, if you waste your time, can you ever get it back?
No.
No. So we know that too much time on the computer, too much time watching TV is time that's wasted that you can't get back. What could you have done with that time? What could you do with that time? Be proactive, develop your talents, and give to the people you love. Help out. You ever gone in the kitchen and said, hey, can I help out? You have the time if you're not wasting it doing television and computer games that are kind of the fantasy world versus reality, right? So we say this is important, is to use your time wisely, because then you're ready to invest your time in things that are important, like MR. What is that? Meaningful relationships. Thinking about win-win, right? So we try to work with our parents to build healthy relationships. How can I help you? And I told this story to the kids here. I was in a family of 7 kids, right? My parents worked very hard. My dad worked. My mom was a home mom, right? She was working hard as well. But my dad hated his job, so when he came home, he was just burned out. And for some reason, I kind of picked up on this. But if I was home, I'd greet my dad and I'd say, "Dad, you look thirsty. Can I get you something to drink?" And my dad would just beam because someone appreciated what he was doing. My dad and I got along great in life. We were just really great friends because it started from a win-win approach. I appreciated all that he was doing to sacrifice for us, and he appreciated that I appreciated him, right? And so we worked well together. So having meaningful relationships is better than the drama. And we've talked about Jerry Springer and the relationships that have all this drama in them. They're distractions to getting to your future, right? You want to have healthy relationships. You want to be with the right friends, right? You want to find the right mates for life and so on, because you have learned how to have healthy relationships. But it takes preparation and practice to do that. Now, just because you have good relationships, are you ready to get to your wonderful future?
No.
One important step left, which is TLC. What does that stand for?
Teams love collaboration.
Teams love collaboration, right? So we know that teamwork is the highest level. And actually, all of these skills are sequenced. These aren't topics. They build on one another to get to teamwork, right? Teamwork in your family, teamwork in your jobs, teamwork, in whatever activities you do. You can do more with teamwork, okay? And so we're going to explore a little bit about the specifics. But once you get to teamwork, now it's an easy step. You're ready for your wonderful future, right? How good things start happening in your life, right? So we're going to kind of quickly walk through some of the activities we did to learn how to get onto this straight path to your future. So with proactive responsibility, we learned that it's a choice. If you just react to things, you allow your emotions, right, to steer you, you're going to make mistakes, knee-jerk reactions, right? So instead, proactive says you create freedom. How do you create freedom, guys? Instead of just saying, someone says something mean to you, whatever, instead of just saying something mean back or acting back, what should you do instead to create freedom? Oh, that was good, right? If someone gives you some constructive feedback, even your parents, don't take it as an attack. The Japanese model says for continuous improvement, you say, "Thank you for feedback." It's a gift. Okay, hopefully it's been given in a good spirit, right? But we create the freedom to choose. We can surprise people by how we respond. Even when they might be a little negative, we can turn it into a positive, right? So leaders think about the impact of their choices to themselves and others. And that was the first foundational step. We're not victims. Hey, bad things do happen in life, right? Life's not perfect, right? But your choice can lead you in a good direction or not. That's the key. You get to choose. It's not where you start in life, it's where you end up, right? And that's based on your decisions. So, as we got into activities, we were exploring something. Micah was telling Devontae, proactive responsibility, you got to catch it. He's a baseball player, right? So, it's something you want to catch, because if you become proactive, you start influencing. It's like something that everyone else catches around you, right? They become proactive too. They see what you're doing. Good things happen. So we use the iceberg as kind of a model of who we are. Because the tip of the iceberg is held up by the mass of the iceberg that's below the surface. How much, guys, is the tip of the iceberg? What percent?
10%.
10%. So that means 90% is what's below the surface that holds it up. Well, for us as people, that's our character. Our character holds up what people see on the outside. Now, people can fake it for a while, but eventually what's on the inside comes out, right? Under pressure, like when you squeeze a lemon, what comes out? Sour lemon juice, right? If you're always sour, people start to see that when you're under pressure. But if you're like a Georgia peach or a Florida orange and you get squeezed, what comes out? Sweet, right? Sweet juice. It really is good. So what's on the inside of you eventually is going to come out. So what are you going to put on the inside? Well, if you value truth, and we went through these key values, what you want on the inside, If you value truth, that means that you're going to practice honesty, integrity, balance, discernment, keeping promises. And if you're willing to do it for how many days, you can make a habit?
30.
30 days. So that's why we've been giving them action plans, and they're going to keep working now for the next month here with you to build a habit, because then when you practice it, it comes to the surface and people start to see that you are trustworthy, right? That you have respect yourself and respect other people. You have healthy relationships. Good things start to happen, right? Now, who was a famous truth teller as a president? Yes? Abraham Lincoln, known as Honest Abe. Now, that wasn't a campaign slogan, right? He was known because he had a reputation of always trying to find a way to tell the truth, even when it was hard, right? So if we try to stick to the truth, even when it's hard, your parents will be able to trust you, right? Because they know that even when you've messed up, you don't make up excuses. You take responsibility. Hey, I messed up. I'm not going to do it again. I learned from my lesson from this. So that's the key, right? And now they say, wow, I'm so proud of my kid, right? Because they're learning the lessons of life. So this was what we learned through all the 7 adventures. Key values that will help them to make the good decisions in life. So we got the idea, right? And here's Christina saying, you know, we're not victims, right? Pass it on. We all can make good choices. Isn't that a wonderful smile? I love her smile. Okay. So we did some pointing exercises. I think everyone got the point, right? This is the key to success. So we had some fun with some activities. So second adventure was one of our heroes, Timo. No one's going to stop him at the end of the game. We said when you're determined with a can-do attitude, you're going to go for that goal line and no one's going to stop you, right? And his whole team was believing. So when you watch that season with the Broncos that he was quarterback, it was exciting because they always found a way to win, right? So this was what a can-do attitude. You don't give up. Even when it's looking bad, you find a way to make it to your goals. So as I told you, my family, we were the last of the Texan Canes, and my dad had 7 kids. So he had a can-do attitude, right? Now there's plenty of Texan Canes, so don't worry about it now. We've got 7 kids, lots of things going on, right? But we said that if you're willing to make can-do a part of your character, you get to join the Texan Canes, right? You're part of the family. And so we wear the wristband, right? That's how we are part of this GPS approach to life. So we had some exercises that we did, like stab the potato. Maybe your kids told you about that exercise, right? They had to take a flimsy straw, okay, plastic straw, and drive it through a solid potato, right? Now I know we were all kind of working on this exercise. People hadn't seen it before, okay? Like Carrie, she was on our team here helping, and she's sitting in the back. No way, you're not going to get it.
Break.
Right? And so we let them take a stab at it, and sure enough, the first time, it didn't work. Then they learned the technique. Guys, what did we do to make this work? What did you do with the straw? Good? Okay, you put your thumb over the top of the straw. It traps the air and makes the straw stronger. And then with your potato, what do? Did you take a stab at it? No, you follow through. In life, when you follow through, you don't let obstacles scare you. You just go right for it. That straw goes right through the potato. It's a technique. So the kids learn that if we learn the techniques, we can do things that seem to be impossible, right? But we have to have that belief that we can find a way to do it. So that was kind of a fun exercise. So we had Sarah and Zoya and Rocky and Devontae up trying that, and we had some success once we learned how to do it. So learning about proactivity. So the third step now is knowing your talents. So my wonderful wife, Debbie, she learned that she loved music at a very young age. She was 4 years old, and her dad started to teach her how to play the piano and the accordion, right? And it was one of her gifts, and she loved it. By the age of 13, she was teaching piano in her dad's music shop in Buffalo, New York, to adults. And she's been teaching ever since because she is an amazing concert pianist. She sounds, this might be a little loud. But when you practice your talent, you have a passion for it, you get better and better and better at it. She's really good. I get to sit and listen to that when she's practicing, so my pleasure. We have a piano student in our home, and one of our wonderful piano students, Jenny, is here. There she is, learning love of music with other people, teaching them how to do it, because there is a technique to all that, right? So once you discover your talents, you realize that you have something that you can offer to other people. You can make a difference in people's lives. So all of our wonderful GPS students learned that they had one of these toolkits. We had some inspectors, we had some protectors, we had a chief, and they learned, I've got a toolkit, and if this is my strength, I can learn how to develop that, and I have now a gift that I can pursue with my life. And we told the kids that if you learn to have a passion for something, and you pursue that for your career, you'll never work a day in your life, right? That's what we want to do. Life can be amazing. It doesn't have to be a drudgery, right? But we got to get tuned in to what our gifts are, discover them. The sooner, the better. Now, if you're 4 years old, that's really amazing, right? But the sooner you get it, the sooner you start developing, it's like a muscle, you're going to get better and better at it. So we were in our Myers-Briggs map learning about our skill sets, and we had a wonderful time because TD stands for touchdown. You score a touchdown when you discover your talents, right? So we were all having a lot of fun there. So we also said that there's famous people that have some of the same kind of skills that you do. They can be role models where you can learn they did some things with that same kind of toolkit. It gives you some ideas of things you can work on. So once we now got talents, what do you do with it? Well, you put it to good use. You find a vision for your life. What are my goals? So we told them that there's 3 key questions you need to answer in life. What do you need to have, what do you need to do, and what do you want to be? But the order you answer them is very critical, because the world wants you to do what? Have, do, or be, guys. They want to have, right? You see this advertising, I got to have all this stuff, and then I end up doing all this to get it, and then end up being what it maybe wasn't meant to be, like in debt, right? Or burdened, storage units of stuff that I really don't need, right? So instead, we told them that when you have a target, what are you shooting for? B, shoot for the bullseye. What do you want to be? Then you'll know what things you should need to do to develop that, and then you're going to have things in life that money can't buy. Satisfaction, pride in yourself, right? The ability to make a difference in other people's lives. That's what the real reward is, right? So once they now get into a mode where they're being constructive with who they want to be, now they can do things that are really constructive as they can become leaders. So Kayla and Adriana and Sarah say, you got to have a vision, right? We believe that. It was good advice, okay? So when you have a vision, you can inspire other people to have a vision too. Because we said as leaders, you can't lead others at a higher level than you lead yourself, right? It's not that, do as I say, not as I do kind of thing, right? You've got to walk it, and then you can show other people how it works. So we said a tool to help you create your vision is having a SMART goal. Take a dream and put a plan to it, right? So we said be specific, make it measurable, attainable, what are the steps? Relevant, why is it your passion? And then figure out how much time realistically is it going to take to develop that, right? So you're going to hear in a few minutes some of the SMART goals that your kids now have to pursue the success of their life. So it's not just a dream anymore, now it can become a reality for them. They can apply it in lots of parts of their lives. So there's Isaac, he's going to go to college and he's going to become an amazing counselor, right? And so we're going to see some of their vision boards, what they were thinking, what their lives could look like, right? Good job, Isaac. So once we got a vision, all right, but we have to now stay focused on the vision because there's always distractions, right? So 3T means we got to manage time, temptation, and treasure. And I think all of the adults in here will agree time management is always a challenge, right? Never enough time to do everything, but there's enough time to do the most important things. You've got to figure out what those priorities are, where you're going to invest your time and where you're not going to waste time, right? So we actually had the kids learn how to analyze the use of their time. Say no to distractions, like all those text messages coming at you, right? Say no to escapism, right? Don't get caught in addictions that you got to have this stuff. Instead, focus on what, guys? What should you focus? Right? Do must-dos, though.
Preparation.
You prepare. Because when you have must-dos in life, if you're prepared for them, you're going to do it well. But if you just show up and you're not prepared, you got to do something, you may not do very well at it, right? You want to be excellent. You want to do your best. No one's perfect, but you can get yourself to a high skill level by preparation. Now they say practice makes perfect. Practice helps you to do your very best. And that's all we're asking. Is what is that?
She agrees.
There we go. See, that little one knows. This is intuitive, right? Okay. So we learned about time management, and we actually had the kids lay out what they spend time on. And you can see we have some room for improvement to remove some distractions and escapism in our life, get focused on preparation and must-dos. So then we were using 3D to kind of help us think about 3T. We use these little memory kind of tools. So we watched a 3D movie because through our 3D glasses, and this was kind of like low tech. We all knew there was low tech. But when you're looking through our new 3T glasses, you see the world in a new way, right? And that was kind of the fun we had with our little 3D movie. So these things help us to remember time, temptation, treasure. 3T, 3D, right? So now we're ready, if we're managing ourselves, we're ready now to have healthy relationships with other people. So our meaningful relationship said we follow the principle of the golden rule. And who's got the golden rule? Well, yes.
Treat others how you want to be treated.
There you go. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Win-win, right? So if you want other people to help you, you help them, right? But we learned that if you're not in win-win, you don't just have to say, oh, gee, this is a bad relationship, right? You can do something about it, right? You can first try to understand the other person and then ask them to understand you. So he said, hey, if you're not seeing eye to eye with your parents, what should you do first? Do what your parents are asking you to do, right? So like you want to go to the mall, and they say no, they may have a good reason. So first, why can I go to the mall? Oh, you need to do your chores first, right? You do those things, then you say, then would I be able to go to the mall? And they say, yeah, I think we could work that out, right? So you find a way to negotiate a win-win by willing to do what others need first, right? To break the ice, right? Otherwise, you just kind of an impasse, you don't see what you're going to do to resolve it. So we learn to be able to solve problems by being able to work with other people's needs and then be able to express our own. So it's all about respect, right? So Aretha had it right, R-E-S-P-E-C-T, right? You got to respect everyone's special personality, ethnicity, culture, and talents, right? Then we can see the world through their eyes and we can appreciate that something we may not have understood, but collectively together, through respect, we can get the whole picture, right? Now we also knew though that sometimes there is a toxic relationship. Someone wants you to do drugs or something, and guys, what do we say to those kind of relationships?
No.
You say no deal. You can't get a win-win. You're not going to do something that's wrong just to fit in, right? You put healthy boundaries to those kind of relationships. So we've made some great new friends here with Krista and her whole staff here at Camelot Community Care, and we're excited about partnering to help more kids get their life path put together. So the highest level was TLC, right? Teams love collaboration, and we had some families together with us, and it was a lot of fun to have the family going through it together, right? Because now they're all on the same page. They've got the same toolkit, right? And Ms. Johnson was a great kind of insight to help share the parental perspective on some of these challenges, because from kids and parents, we do sometimes see things differently. The good news is we're able to dispel, though, a key problem, and that is that sometimes our youth fall into the technology paradigm that says you have to have the latest, greatest of something for it to be good, right? Because if it's old, it must be outdated and of no use anymore. So they sometimes start to think that their parents have old information, it doesn't apply to them anymore, but we help dispel that because wisdom is timeless. Technology can come and go, but the principles of how we are and who we are as humans hasn't changed in thousands of years. When you learn these principles, they work. Right, guys? We got that straightened out. So we're not going to fall into that technology paradigm. Our parents have life, experience, and wisdom, so we need to be coachable, right? Now, you're not going to do everything your parents did. They probably don't want you to do everything that they did, right? But we can learn from them, okay? And that's the opportunity, is to be coachable, because even Olympic athletes, every one of them has a coach, right? We can always learn from our coaches. The one other thing we also learned is that what part of our brain is where our decision making. You guys remember? The frontal lobe, right? is where we make decisions. When does that fully develop? How old?
25.
About 25. Are you guys 25? No, right? So you're not going to be able to fully develop your decision making. So it's good to consult with someone who has a fully developed frontal lobe, right? So again, that's why we realize teamwork is so important. When we put our heads together, we come up with better strategies and we don't make mistakes that we could have avoided, right? So 2 is better than 1. And my wife Deb and I, we love sandhill cranes. They're beautiful cranes, but they mate for life. And so you can see these 2 adult cranes and 2 chicks, right? And everything's going really well, right, in the crane family. So they wander our neighborhood. We like to watch them. So we learned that with teams, together everyone achieves more. And so we tried to prove that teamwork works, right? Because we might say, okay, it sounds good, but does teamwork really work? So we took some examples of nature, right? We had to kind of work through this a little bit. But why do birds fly in a V shape? Who's got the answer? Yeah, Devante?
So they can fly further.
All right, they can fly further. Now some said, oh, the V shape looks really good, or they could able to fight off predators. There's some strength in numbers. Or the smart birds out front, the dumb birds are behind, kind of thing. But we learned it's all about teamwork, right? It's aerodynamics. The front bird is cutting the air for the other birds, and when it tires, they rotate so they can migrate long distances. It's all about physics, right? The birds don't go to bird school for it. It's the instinct that's built into them, right? They're hardwired for that. But we know that teamwork works. So we practice these things in our GPS, doing puzzles and solving problems, learning that life can be really hard trying to figure it all out on your own. But when you have a friend, it's fun to do it together, and it's not quite such a burden when you put your heads together. So, 2 is better than 1. That builds synergy in our lives, right? So once you get to teamwork, now you look at the world and you say, with teamwork, nothing is impossible, right? 2 is better than 1. So that means if we want to pursue success, right, we put together the components for success: character, principles, values, good habits, and faith, and we combine it with our energy when we have dream and freedom from addiction, so we're motivated. We put that together. What do we get? Actually, we get synergy, right? The success and energy put together produces the fruit of our working together to get things done. So we're saying now we're equipped. This is a milestone in their life. They are ready to go. And so we're going to get to hear from a minute, but we always like at our graduations to have a little bit of inspiration from someone that has a fully developed frontal lobe, right? A little life experience, right?
I hope so.
So we have a inspirational keynote speaker that we're going to introduce here. Our very own Krista Eckhoff, right? And Krista,
In my former
yes. And Krista is going to tell us a little bit about a life focused on good character by helping others. How about a hand for Krista? Come on up.
Not anymore. I'm Krista Eckhoff. For you guys who don't know me, some of you know me, and you come to our amazing groups, and we are blessed to spend time with your kiddos. But I'm the director of an adoption support program here in Hillsborough County. So we serve all families that have adopted privately or through foster care and live in Hillsborough County. So if you want to know more about that program, we can talk after, but I kind of want to speak to your kids right now, and I want to thank you guys for allowing your children to be a part of this, because I am definitely going to miss seeing them every day and all the time that we have spent together. I'm going to talk a little bit about when I was your age. You know when your parents are like, well, when I was your age, you're like, well, I was. It really wasn't that long ago, I swear. Luckily, I look a lot younger than I am, so I can say that and actually like kind of get away with it. But I was a weatherman. You know, Mr. Jeff has talked to you guys about how he really prided himself on making good choices and being a good, helpful member of his family. I kind of took the opposite route, and it took me a long time to figure out how to be a compass as opposed to a weather vane. When I was your guys' age, I thought that everything that my mom told me was dumb, and I didn't want to listen to anything that she said. The funny thing is everything she said always came to fruition, or always like would come in the back of my mind at the weirdest times, and then I'd be like, is she following me? I chose some bad friendships. I definitely was a weather vane in my friendships. My friends and I got into, well, my friends got into a lot of trouble. I did not, by the grace of God, did not get into a lot of trouble. I had a friend who was arrested for bringing alcohol to school. I had a friend who was arrested for stealing clothes from a mall. And I had a friend who was arrested for selling drugs. I myself did not partake in these things, but I was along for the ride. And I realized after going through these relationships with these people who I thought were my friends, I realized I didn't fit in. I didn't belong. I felt like I was missing, and I was actually seeking the wrong quote-unquote family to belong to, when my family the whole time was waiting for me to make good choices. My mom lovingly, accepted me back into the fold when I made mistakes and would support and encourage me and love on me. And now I have an amazing relationship with my family members. But I didn't have this program when I was your guys' age. A lot of what happened to me as a kid, the things that I went through, the experiences I went through, the friendships or quote-unquote friendships that I made, and the things that I encountered based on the bad choices that I made actually led me to where I am now. So the moral of that story is not make bad choices and everything will turn out okay anyway. The moral of that story is let's avoid the bad choices and still let the good come out of it. I did not realize how to make genuine friendships, or did not learn how to make genuine friendships until I was in probably college. And then I actually learned how to study and learned how to focus on what I was supposed to focus on so that I could become what I am today. I worked hard to become a director of a program. I had to work through, I decided when I went to college I was going to be a lawyer and I was going to conquer the world, but then I realized I didn't want to defend anybody who was guilty or prosecute anybody who was innocent. So I quickly tried to figure out where is my life supposed to take me, and realized that the core of what I enjoyed in regards to practicing law and defending people or trying to help people was who they were on the inside, which actually all of us on the inside were children. And so I realized that the core of what I wanted to do was work with kids. And so I started working for child welfare, and I started thinking that I was going to save the world one child at a time. And all of us adults, you guys have all had experience somehow with the child welfare system, either obtaining your children, your relatives, what have you, or even if it was private adoption, there was court proceedings. And that definitely was a long but very painful journey for me, where I was able to learn the skills that I needed to be the true person that I am. As these kiddos learned, I am an inspector. I am somebody who prides myself on paying attention to what's going on with everybody, paying attention to details, organizing things, putting things together, and making sure that we can overcome adversity in our program, and that we can make sure that we can support families in every way, shape, and form. I myself started walking the walk last year when I adopted my kiddo out of foster care. We have biological children as well, but we added to our family through adoption. So we definitely have taken, or I have taken a very windy road. I can't say the same for my husband. But I have taken a very windy road to end up here. And the main reason why I was so drawn to Jeff and Debbie's program is because this could prevent you guys from making bad choices in terms of being weather vanes, and help you guys to focus on your true compass. If you lean into your families, if you lean into the people who have been there, who know, and who have luckily solidified frontal lobes, then we actually can make really good positive choices. So I actually do some worship and prayer every morning before I come to work, and every night before I go to bed. ironically, I want to read you guys what today's verse of the day is. When you go through deep waters, I will be with you. When you go through rivers of difficulty, you will not drown. Now I'm going to start crying. When you walk through the fire of oppression, you will not be burned up. The flames will not consume you. And that's Isaiah 43:2. I think that is very relevant today as you guys move forward in your lives and making sure that you are fully supported not only by your families but by God. And that you guys have these newfound friendships with each other. We have this picture, Kayla knows, we have this picture hanging up in our office. It's probably her favorite saying in the whole wide world, and actually every time I walk past it, I think of her. And I love the saying. It says, you can't have rainbows without a little rain. So what I want to tell you guys, as you faced your adversity in what's going on, what has gone on in your lives up until now, you have gone through your rain. So now it's time to make rainbows.
Yeah. That's why we have inspirational speakers. So again, your adults and parents, the people that love and care about you, are great sources, right? Use your coaches in your life to avoid making the mistakes that are avoidable. All right, so now, this is not the end. This is just the beginning. Now we're to the highlight of our graduation. We're going to hear from our graduates about what they learned and what they're going to do with their lives. Not the big end, but now just the beginning. Now they're laughing because we use that music for every time we're going to do a role play. Okay, so we perform, practice in the safety of the classroom so we're ready for the stage of life. When we have faced difficult situations, we know what to do. So they have been preparing some answers, some key questions, and as they've been answering a lot of questions, they have been earning, and I don't see now here, reward chips, okay? And they've been accumulating amazing amounts of reward chips, so it's going to be real cool. So once they share up here, they're going to get to pick some prizes, okay? Now, they've earned reward chips for answering questions and participating. They also took pre-test and post-test because we wanted them to see what they were learning, the learning game. And they learned how their brains learn, right? Learning's not a mystery. It's a how many step process? 3 steps, right? We use football. So I threw it to Devontae for the first pass, right? And so he learned that catching, receiving, storing it, and then using it. You can run with it, right? But you've got to receive the information, avoid distractions. So they learned how their brains learn. So we're going to be sharing some of that. So they're going to get to pick out 2 prizes over here. We have quite a spread. We have these kind of neat pillows. We have shirts. We have inspirational books and all sorts of stuff. So you're going to get to pick out whatever you want. Now, when we added up the chips, we added up the scores on the test, we added up, again, attitude, participation, so on, we had a highest score in our group, okay? And so we're going to start off with our first highest scorekeeper, and that was Zoya Riddle. Come on down. You are the first, right? So we're going to ask her parents to come up, and they're going to help her because she has this special award. We call it the Extra Mile Award, okay? So I'm going to hand it to them so they can hold on to it for her because I'm not sure they're very proud. So the extra mile is when we are leaders and we do beyond the call of duty, we call it commitment mode. When you build a habit of commitment to excellence, you go beyond. And every day we wanted to bless our food and so on, and I just happened to say the first day, I said, who would like to bless food? And Zoya raised her hand and did this amazing blessing. And so we got a job. She did it every day because she did so well the first time, right? So with this extra, we have, since she's going the extra mile, we thought a Fitbit would be a kind of appropriate, kind of fun thing. You ever want a Fitbit? So we're going to give it to your parents, and they're going to award this to you, all right? So this is for you. So I'm sure you guys are very proud of her, all right? So now, if you would hang on to those for her, we're going to have her tell you the rest of the things of what she learned, okay? So have a seat, proud parents. Thank you so much. So we know that it doesn't happen by accident, right? No way. You're going to do it now. I'm going to ask you some questions, right? You got your script right there with you, so You got it? Okay. So the first thing we asked the kids was use some words as they discovered who they were that described them. So what are some words that describe you?
Well, the first one that we learned was priceless. But I also picked fashion, dance, and author. Because I like clothes, I like looking great, and I like dancing a lot. I don't like sitting still, it's annoying. And I like writing. I like just writing things because it's just so much fun to, a lot of these ideas running through my head.
Okay, so there is a deep well here, right? She got lots of things you learned about herself because she's priceless, right? So she has great respect for herself. So what was your Myers-Briggs toolkit you learned about who you are?
I'm an inspector and I'm also a protector. I'm split.
Now it's not schizophrenic, it's ambidextrous. She can work in more than one mode, but that's why she admires, I think, Krista so much, because they're birds of a feather that way, right? Okay, so with that now, what are your strengths? What did you learn? What are your strengths?
Well, I'm reliable, and I said I protect people, so I didn't really know a lot about my strengths, but I did know that I was reliable.
Okay, good. Now what's some weaknesses? Because we all have weaknesses. Let's be real about it, right? What's some weaknesses?
Mine is change. Like, I wrote this, this little card. It has, a little heart, and it's like, where are you going? Why are you leaving me?
So she's a guardian, so change is harder for her. So when things are going to change in her life, when they happen suddenly, that's really